Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I would like to say I do apologize for kind of uploading this one so late. However, I did start recording before 12 o'clock, so it counts. For today's third video, I am... Hold on, I sound way too enthusiastic about that. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I would like to bring over something ow, that is hot. I got this at Walmart earlier today, and I just accidentally... Oh, no, there we go. We're still good. Okay, check that out. Got a candle, Garden Rain, and it is quite the pleasantry. I love it. Anyways, for today's third episode of this rendition, or wait a minute, is today the fourth? Today should be the third or fourth? I have no idea. Anyways, we're doing Fate's Edge. Why do I feel like I'm a day short all of a sudden? Anyways, if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, which was some author's notes from an old book that I found, which I wrote a while ago, you should go check that out. And or if you haven't seen my first video for sure, The Wild's Door, you should definitely go see that one. But without further ado, allow me to start telling this wonderful story that I wrote a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, as I had mentioned in my previous episode, the author's notes, and this kind of correlates with that because this is part of that whole process that was happening. So, allow me to hop right into it, and I shall maybe put that up here for some nice lovely dovely stuff. And I hope y'all enjoy this because I think I did mention that this is based off a video game that I really enjoyed playing, Mount and Blade Warband. Self-admittedly, I think on Steam it keeps like a track of all your hours and stuff. And I think I have like over 200 hours on that game. Yes, I know, I'm quite the addict when it comes to that game, and I'm actually pretty proud of that because it is a good game. And it was good enough to inspire me to make a story. So, without further ado, let us begin reading a story that I wrote. But, of course, I will read it out loud because that is what I do and I enjoy doing it. I'm a mercenary. I have traveled from my homeland in hopes of finding a name for myself. The captain of the ship I've hired has told me of a land being torn apart by war and famine. Colradia, he calls it. 6 ancient kingdoms, which has seen peace for many generations, erupted in feudal disputes. Greed and controversy swelled up in the hearts of these rulers, and now they relentlessly wage war on each other, leaving bloody battlefields in their wake. I'm also not the only mercenary to come to this land. Many like me has already traveled to Colradia, and many of them have died. I cannot help myself from feeling eager to arrive. I'm sitting in my cabin right now, and while I'm looking forward to this next chapter of my life, I still think of home. My father was a veteran warrior who fought and died in the Great War which ravaged my homeland. Ironic that I'm headed to a similar land, following in his footsteps. My mother raised my brother and I off the income of my father's honor. I don't remember much of my brother. He left while I was still a child. When I got old enough to work, one of my father's friends took me in as an apprentice. For a few years, I learned the smith's trade, working the hot iron until I became a young man. I never earned enough to put myself through school, but it was something to keep food on the table for my mother. After she died, I left my village, and for a few years after that I traveled with merchants and caravans, mostly serving as a guard, but I also learned a little about trading. It wasn't until a few days ago I had finished escorting a tradesman from one town to the next, and I was helping myself to a few rounds of ale at a local tavern when I saw a captain of a ship entertaining some of the regulars with the tale of a foreign land, clamoring for war. Sorry about that. Oh man, I hope one of these days I definitely get over this little cold. Now I'm in a ship, and by dawn we set port in Sargoth, one of the few strongholds of the Nords, in prologue. And I don't know why I necessarily decided to break it up into chapters like this, because writing on a page and a quarter is definitely not like really worthy of trying to separate that up into chapters, but I was also trying to just come up with something that was kind of like segmented and just something different other than my normal a while ago. Trust me, we will eventually catch up on all my previous stuff, which is some of this, well, not that magazine, of course, and maybe a book or two over there, but I'm starting as far back as possible, and we're going to work up to what I have now, and you're going to like it. It's going to be a wonderful little process. Wonderful, wonderful. Anyways, so I guess this would be like, so in prologue, and then this would be like chapter 1, I guess. So, I was listening to the bow gently break the ocean, and a slight breeze has kept my cabin cool over the night. I was getting ready to drift back into my nostalgic slumber when I heard a slight knock on my door. "It's open," I called, out sitting up. The door opened and a flickering candle glow filled the room. "The captain sent me," stated a young lad. "We should set port soon. He would like to see you before we part ways." I told him I would be getting ready, and he left me to gather my belongings. My father's sword strapped to my waist, and a backpack of few personal belongings sat in a chair by the door. As I stepped out, I was greeted by the calm, never-ending salty breeze. Millions of stars still dotted the velvety sky. I heard the captain call me from the ship's wheel. "The wind has aided our travels this fine morning," he smiled. "We're still a good distance out, but we'll arrive a little before sunrise." I rummaged through the folds of my tunic and withdrew my coin purse. I threw it up to the captain. "That's your payment for the voyage," and he silently nodded his thanks. I walked over to the ship's rails and absorbed the pure display of beauty. The ocean's surface had calmed down, and the radiant lights which decorated the sky had fallen into its waters, and for miles around was a reflection, as if there was no separation from sky and water. A slight pink hue had begun to saturate the horizon behind the ship, and a loud shout from the crow's nest broke the silence. "Land ho!" I glanced across the ship's bow, and in the distance I could finally see a dark mass of land. Smiling, I could feel the excitement bubbling up in my stomach. Coloradia, here I come. End of chapter 1. And so, what I really kind of like about how I began chapter 1 is when you begin to make a character and everything. Okay, stop with this hand. Okay, woo. Anyways, sorry, I just got a thing for like touching my hair, and I love rubbing my hair. Anyways, so the introduction to the video game that I was referencing, you get to make your character and everything, and you there's a lot of different traits and stuff that are involved with character making, and it's like kind of presets and stuff. You'd have to really check it out, and like I said, in the future I might do some kind of playthrough with that, which I would really be interested in doing. But it doesn't really like it kind of like skips a little bit, and this was kind of like my own personal addition or little fill into it, having that boat ride scene kind of entry and everything. It's kind of cool in my opinion, because you had to get to the land to begin with, but they just kind of like started with just dumping you off on the docks. But I guess this would technically be chapter 2. And oh, also in the video game, my favorite place always going to first was Sargoth, and that's like the capital of the Nords. And I just have to say, the Nords, hands down, doesn't matter like what we're talking about, as long as Nords is part of that, Nords will always win. Okay. With the part now behind me, I had begun my way up a path the captain told me would take me into the city of Sargoth. The sun was steadily rising into the sky, and as I came around a bend in the path, I was breathtaking. Blah. Huge cobblestone walls, 20 feet high and at least half a mile wide, stood before me. Large blue banners with a solid black crow flapped in the early morning breeze upon the walls. Two guards stood post at a raised gate out. Hold on, I got this. Two guards stood past. Oh my god, okay, I got this. I swear I got this. It's not that difficult. It's a couple of words. Two guards stood post at a raised gate, and when I neared, they grabbed their sword hilts. "State your business, traveler," one of them commanded. And so I said, "I was a passenger of the Captain Timothy. He instructed me to give you this." I pulled out a sealed letter and handed it to him. After scanning it, he tucked it away and sarcastically said, "So another mercenary vulture, come to prey on the spoils of war, I see. You're lucky to have Captain Timothy give a good word for you." The other guard joined in. "Don't worry, you won't last long." They both laughed at me as I passed through. I was appalled at the vulgar demeanor the guards displayed. I couldn't help but wonder what would have happened without Captain Timothy's letter. I suddenly felt small in this strange new city. I didn't really know where to go, and it was still early in the morning, so I didn't see many townsfolk in the streets. I turned down an alley, thinking it would lead me closer to the heart of Sargoth, when I heard an all too familiar sound I've heard throughout the years escorting caravans. The sound of swords sliding from its scabbard, and muffled steps from behind me. I quickly drew my own sword and turned to face my attackers. Two people blocked the exit, and they wavered their swords. "Put that sword away and give us your money," one of them said. "Yeah, it would be a shame to bloody that young face of yours," the other said with a wicked grin. I heard someone from behind me rush forth, and I spun around, raising my sword in time to block an overhead swing. I carried the momentum of my turn with my sword and parried the blow to the side, pivoting on my right leg, and I kicked with my left, knocking one of my assailants down. The other two came at me head on, swinging from the side. I twisted my body and executed a flurry of defensive maneuvers. Executed a flurry of defensive maneuvers my father's friend relentlessly drilled into me. I swung my sword in a wide arc to the right, and when the thug blocked it, I reversed my swing to the upper left, chopping down. I sliced deep into the shoulder and tore my sword free in time to parry a stab that would have slain me where I stood. The guy I kicked down rolled back and sprang to his feet. He pulled out a dagger and flung it at me with lazy precision. I leapt to the side in order to avoid the projectile when the other bandit took another swing at me from the left. I stepped into the cut, crossing our swords down, and headbutted him as hard as I could. He fell down, dazed, when I heard a loud shatter, and I was pushed forth, feeling a sharp pain in my back. The thief who threw the dagger had attempted to stab me from behind through my backpack, but my set of ceramic plates and blankets took most of the blow. I twisted around and dislodged the sword from his grip and ran my sword through his stomach and yanked it free. The pain in my back when I tore my sword free almost made me faint. I was losing blood, but one more bandit remained. "Die already, you heap of filth!" the last bandit screamed, and charged at me holding both hands on the hilt, going for a low stab. I didn't have the strength to parry it head on, so I turned my body with his charge, sticking my foot out as he passed. Stumbling on the obvious setup, I followed my spin with a stab into his back, and I collapsed on top of him with my sword buried deep. Blackness swirled my vision, and I heard more footsteps. I tried to rise, fearing for my life, but I fell back down into the cold Stygian void of nothingness. End of chapter 2. Let's see, what is this? That is new story. Okay, no. Alright, so I guess that was the end of this, and I was gonna, continue writing it. I really was. because I really did like how that story was going. And I would always love one of these days to like write a story like all the way through about one of the video games that I play. It's just like a personal thing. It'd be kind of cool to me, I guess, to be able to have that ability to narrate and put it all down and twist it in my own little story. And perhaps either Dragon Age Origins would be a good game to do that too, because I really like that one, or even Skyrim. And Skyrim is also one of my favorite video games. And if I ever do a playthrough on that, or if I ever do play through video games, I'm just going to go ahead and say Skyrim is going to be on that list. But yes, so that was this particular story that I wanted to share. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And that one I didn't even really have a title. I actually came up with that title tonight because I just, I guess a year and a half ago or whatever, I decided to first write that. I just kind of went with it. So yes, today's episode 3. Wow, I have like, is really this the 3rd episode? I still feel like I'm missing a day somewhere, but that's okay. I'm just gonna roll with it. But yes, I hope y'all definitely enjoy. Please don't forget to either like, share, definitely comment anything that y'all would like to improve, unless it's like the little obvious quirky things, how I kind of like stutter and mess up my sentences. Please don't comment on that. I'm sensitive. No, I'm kidding. I can totally take it. But also, don't forget, if you would like to have your name signed in this book and every video that I make, I will start adding to this. Like, I'm really going to fill this up. I truly am. It's going to be great, and it's going to be a series, and I'm going to dedicate myself to this because I really want to do this, and I feel like it would totally be cool. And as the more time that passes, the more better I will keep learning, or the more first off, one of these days I'm going to learn how to video edit, and I'm going to have like these totally flawless videos where I'm not like totally messing up all the time, because imperfections are lame and I am better than imperfect. I am perfect. Now, anyways, so yes, I hope you enjoyed this one, and we shall put that right there. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Please check out my other videos if you haven't seen them yet, and I hope you enjoy. Goodbye.